This is quite precarious. I'm just going to turn this off. Righto. Yeah, I'm going to pass the mic. If you're wondering why we're double mic'd, our media, what are we going to call him? Media man is Owen. He's got some technology. Where is Owen? Owen. He's part of the team, so we'll highlight a few people that are part of the School of Rocks team, and it'll all make sense as we go on. So thank you very much. So thank you very much for coming. I don't actually know exactly what this is all about, but we're going to just go and shoot from the hip. It's about a couple of things which will all meld, and I think we'll go around in a few really cool circles, which is pretty much what we do out there in the bush. We go out on the trails and we go round and round and round, and hopefully we come back with a straight car. That's what it's about. But I'll start at the start.
Usually, though.
Usually.
Not usually.
Not usually. So I'll start at the start. Eddie would have been that'll be nearly 3 years ago now. Eddie said, I want you to run eBay 5. Now, eBay 5 is the car that is under this cover. It's an Evo 5, Mitsubishi Evo 5, and it's called eBay 5 lovingly because they found it on eBay. And that was some time ago. And Eddie said, like I said, 3 years ago, I want you to run this car. And I said, no, I'm sort of got a bit on. And then now Eddie's gone on to do some big things. We'll hear about that later. And he's basically said, and he'll have his own version of this because we'll give him the microphone. But he's basically said, no, you are running that car whether you like it or not, because we've got this big event and I want to make it the best event that Australia has seen. I'm not sure what part I play in that, but we'll see. But also, some of you may know that I was 158 kilos way back then, and Eddie said, if you lose 50 kilos, I'll put you in that car and you can drive it. So I'll hand it over to Eddie to give his version of that story, and then we'll come back and start proper. And well, the question is, Eddie, what has gone through your mind given the fact that I'm hard on the gear, what were you thinking when you thought that I'm going to drive this car? Having said that, I've never driven a four-wheel drive turbo car in my life.
Thanks. What's the go with the two?
Cool, bring it up here.
Well, it wasn't actually that car, Kelly. It was actually another Evo, and it wasn't actually Gravel Rally. It was Targa. But anyway, I just think you needed some encouragement at the time, Kelly, and that was the way we went. But you've met the target, so here we are.
We'll try to organise the meal. That's your table. That's your table. Oh, yeah, that's gold. And so I've lost the weight, but that's not why we're here. And I said to Eddie, and even way back to 3-4 years ago, like Eddie wanted me to run the car, and I instantly thought, I don't want to run it in my own right or just for my own benefit. I've run rallies some 20 years ago. I think I've done the sums, which is a bit frightening, more for Eddie than me. Haven't raced competitively for 15, 20 years. But I didn't want to do it in my own right. I've won...
Back then.
Sorry? Well, you can...
Racing competitively back then, weren't you?
Well, you can... That might be your bit. You've been my navigator, and I will add the worst navigator in Australian history, but I wouldn't have anyone else in the car. He is an absolute hoot in the car, and we'll get back to that. This is why we do this sport, the belly laughs and the stories, but we'll all have a share of that. It's about, for me, making a community. I didn't want to race my own right. I wanted to pay a little bit of homage to a man that passed away, Adrian Moresby, who liked to build a community around him. Way back then it was called Max Boost Crew. I don't even pretend to get anywhere close to that, but what I wanted to do was take a little bit of that and bring to today, because I would not be friends with any of these blokes here, or probably some of the people in the crowd. Andrew Lawson, I met him through rallying and Targa spectating and all this crew. I met Mozza through rallying. The first time was through Rally Taz when it was a tarmac stage, and it just went from there and it snowballed on, and it was very welcoming crew, and we all have just sort of grown. I was probably wait till I'll just eat some of that while you talk, but yeah, you can share your little piece on how we became friends, and
Pick me on my teeth.
I don't care because it looks tasty. I'm going to have some.
Well, you can share some of that around while I talk.
Righto, that's gold.
Yeah, I remember the first time I met Hooch. We were just mucking around in the rally shed, which was not in Hobart but up in Ulverston, and Hooch had sort of seen, I think, myself and a few of the crew that I was mucking around with, and just decided that he just needed to invite himself into that space and show us how some crazier stuff was done that we hadn't sort of actually thought of before. So the first night that I met Hooch was we were just hanging around having a beer, and Hooch invited himself in and made himself at home, started making friends with some people, and next thing we know, the nail gun is out and Hooch is just machine gunning the wall down with the nail gun, and we're like, who the bloody hell is this bloke? And one thing I have come to got used to real quick was, if some crazy stuff was going down and there was half a plan of some crazy stuff, then it was going to be like a factor of 10 was going to be applied to it because Hooch was going to get involved. And that's the way it's sort of gone on from there. But I think the stories that we've ended up making, rallying and just doing, and it's not just all about the rallying as such, it's from the car preparation to the whole adventure of going right through the whole motions. Like, the amount of stories that you get out of it is just absolutely incredible. And we did actually at one stage agree that when you're telling people a story, some of the stuff that we've done, you've actually got to tone it down a bit, because no one's going to buy into that. Like, there's no way it got that large. It's like, I am toning it down and it still sounds like bullshit, eh? But that's the sort of stuff that we really like to get involved in. And most of the stories, they just they stay in-house, because, like I say, people think you're bloody making shit up if you're telling the whole story and nothing but the truth. But it is this whole journey of rallying, and it is from a motorsport point of view, we get involved in, I've been involved in go-karts and circuit racing and so many different facets, but the amount of different stories that come from a rallying weekend, you're involved with so many people. At the after party, which is round 3 or heat 3 or whatever, they have 2 heats of the rally and then the third heat's at the after party. Everyone's got so many stories. So the guys in the car have got stories, the crew's got stories, and every person that's involved tends to come along and they've just got old stories, and that's what you got to realise about. It's the best thing about life. If you've got to go out and make stories, because you can stand around and yaffle on the beers all night, but if they're just the same old stories that have been told before, well, people get sick of you. So you got to come up with new material, and the only way to come up with new material is like hang around with blokes like Hooch and break some stuff.
And so, thank you very much. But just to touch base on that, I did invite myself, Kent Watts. I was actually servicing for Kent Watts, and this was way back when. Kent's unfortunately passed away now, but he ran a car that was and punched well above his weight, and it was really good to be involved in that particular car and its development. But via that Rally Taz, I think a few people that I met out in the bush, they took a liking to some antics and carry on and said, you should come back to Whitey's shed, and I didn't even know who Whitey was. And then I rocked up fairly meek and mild, to be honest, in my Rossi Valentino jacket, and they were trying to get this nail gun that was left behind at that workshop that you were trying to make something out of, and it was all dusty, and I just sort of sat back and thought, nah, these city folk, because most of them were Hobart, they were all townies, and they didn't have a clue what was going on. They're all soft as. So I basically got this nail gun, and I bypassed the regulator so it had full pressure, and then I got some wire and I twitched it back so it took the safety mechanism out of it, and I just said, righto boys, watch this. And so then I've just gone and all these nails started ricocheting around the thing, and they were ducking for cover and shit. And I think Mozza and Whitey said, "I think this bloke needs to be in the Max Boost crew." Right?
Keep him.
What's that? I think we'll keep him, even though I think there's a rumour going around that I ran over your tap. There's some talk about the tap, but that's one of 1,000 stories, and those stories come from a friendship and a bond that we've forged over the years. And so now I think we need to do some introductions, because we're very actually honoured to have. I don't think I'll go as far to say as. Well, these two gentlemen here would be some of the fastest drivers on gravel in Australia. This guy has more state titles than I think anyone in Tasmania, and also a Targa Tasmania title, so that's transferable.
I'm old now, though.
Yeah, true, very old. And so Whitey, of course, everyone knows Jason Edward White from his time in Targa, but this all came about from his younger years as a young fella. And when I say kids, we want kids to be part of School of Rock. It's anyone from sort of 14 up to 25, because, or even up in their 30s, because we are old now. I'm 51, and anyone below 25 is a kid to me. So when I've been banging on about kids, it's about anyone that wants to come, really younger than 51, to be honest. But I'm going to hand it over now to Eddie, because Eddie's got some really cool stories about how these two gentlemen met. And these two gentlemen here are some of the quickest drivers you'll see in gravel anywhere in Australia. Eddie at the minute is, I think, third or second in the Australian Rally Championship, driving a very similar car to Stevie, which is that car there, which starts out as pretty much a blank sheet of paper. They build it into a weapon, and then they put some panels on it that very loosely make it look like a Skoda. But Eddie, you've got some really cool stories about why you like to promote rallying and how you started, and the way that we want to bring everyone into the fray.
Thanks, Kelly. Rallying's been a huge part of my life. My dad used to take me with, rallied back in the 70s, 60s and 70s actually. And interesting story. My dad actually navigated for Jamie's dad in his first ever rally. So, Jamie.
I was there too.
But yeah, when Nathan was sort of involved in, Nathan Newton over here was involved in this this time as well, we were obviously really keen on rallying, because our dad would take us out when we were 5 years old spectating. Actually got some footage of we found the other day of Steve and I was 5, Steve was 2, I think, standing on the side of the road spectating, and Whitey, Jamie, Lawson, I think, actually was in that footage as well. So it's pretty cool. I had no idea who these guys were then. Obviously, I was only 5, but yeah, standing on the side of the road watching those guys go past was really cool. And yeah, Nathan and I in high school, we were fascinated with rallying. All we talk about every day was rallying. And Jamie, being Jamie, and he's still no different to this day, took us under his wing. I remember going to the first rally with Jamie as a 16-year-old, and I think about that now and think that's just, crazy. I think Jamie was, you would have been in your late 40s then, wouldn't you? But no, Jamie was in his 30s, I think. Yeah, he would have been in his 30s. And, it took us away. I think our first rally was down at White Sands, and it was actually the first time I met Whitey that weekend.
Scamander Screamer.
And I think Whitey's got a story for that later on as well. But Jamie would take us under his wing because we were so obsessed with rallying, and we wouldn't have had the experience and be where we are in motorsport now without Jamie doing that. So I guess what Hooch is doing here with getting people involved is to get people involved in that sort of experience, and because it's the best thing that's ever happened in my life is being involved in this awesome sport. So yeah.
Cool beans. Now, Jamie, you're going to have a bit of a different version of that, maybe, I don't know. But I'm not sure how you've become the elder statesman of this crew. How old are you?
Yeah, 40.
40? Hang on.
A bit over 50.
Bit over 50. I think we're matching each other for the grey at the minute. But let's have a little bit of your version and like how you met Whitey and some of the battles you had when you had the RX2. This was rear-wheel drive days, and I think Whitey was in the car that we lovingly call the Mazda 323, but because Whitey used to drive it pretty hard, we called it I didn't, I've only heard the stories, the Mazda Tree to Tree. And thank you very much, Marcia. A round of applause for Marcia. She's bringing around the the food. Thank you very much, Marcia.
I might be old, but I'm not as old as Andrew Lawson.
Hold it up to your hoo-ha. No, this one, right up to your mouth.
That way.
No, that one right up to your mouth.
Why do we have two?
Yeah, good thing you got a navigator, because Jesus Christ.
Too old for tech.
Just speak right into it. Put your lips
I've
on
been
it.
sort of rallying for probably 30 years. I'm mid-50s now. But I did start motorsport in go-karts with Jason a long time ago. Plenty of good fun. That was probably for 20 years we raced that. I chased him around most of the time. Every now and then he'd let me win. Then we progressed. And then we progressed to rallying 1600s, RX2s, which my RX2 was one that Jason originally had, and rallied. He went to four drives and I went to RX4s, RX5s. And then we progressed into four drives, and I think that's where Eddie come along, Eddie and Nathan. That first rally that we picked him up at on the way to the East Coast, I think I taught him about rallying, and I probably taught him how to drink. I reckon when we got to Devonport, Nathan was ready to just spew up, and we only left Sulphur Creek. The poor blokes had been on the roundabout for probably 3 hours waiting for me to turn up because I was probably a bit late. And they'd drunk their carton of Jim Beam cans. And then I did a bit of tarmac rallying. And it doesn't matter what rallying you do, whether it's tarmac or gravel, there's always plenty of stories. Good family, all good people to be involved in. And Hooch is a bit like Baldrick of the sport. If you ever need anything done, you just got a point and he's already got it done.
Hang on a minute.
So it's good to have you.
I'm going to address that because Baldrick has actually destroyed most Datsun, what were they, 1600s. He's responsible for destroying Tasmania's entire supply of 1600s, Australia's supply of 1600s, overdrives his head off and crashes like a biatch. So, yeah, you need to pick someone else. I like your sentiment, but I don't drive like him, do I? Or maybe Whitey might answer that later.
We'll just wait till after this rally and see how that thing over there finishes up. It's already missing the rear bumper bar, Hooch. What's the go there, mate? I did hear there's a Subaru bumper bar going on there.
No, we'll hear more about that a little bit later on. So now we're going to change pace and we're going to hear a little bit about the event in November. Now, Eddie is a big part of what's going on, but also Nathan Newton. Now, within rallying, it's like anything, like a football club, there's a community around it and there's helpers. So we're also having a call out for helpers to do road closures. Road closures are the best way to watch a rally. You have a fire pot, hence why we've got some fire pots here. You get some really good spots. You've got them on your own. You don't have to deal with anyone. You're normally placed in the bush in a really good spectating spot, and it's good fun. And so we're also on the lookout for people that want to do road closures under the school of Rock and Eddie Maguire Motorsport banner. But yeah, so we want to hear a little bit about the event right now, which is being held. It's an ARC round, which is an Australian Rally Championship round held in Burnie. It's on November the 22nd, 23rd and 24th. Nathan is a competitor and long-time friend, and he knows a lot about the event. So let's just hear a basic spiel on the event for those who are interested.
It was a great pass. Thanks very much, Hooch. So I guess, a critical part of the sport is having people that make the events happen. So I guess over time I fell into that void, I guess, because it always is hard finding people to organise events and just make things happen on the ground. So I'm also a competitor and won a state two-wheel drive championship and stuff like that. So that's really where my heart is. But making the events happen for all my mates and everyone else is a pretty important part as well. So I guess I started organising events probably in my early 20s and.
You're only 21 now, are you?
Yeah, I'm only 21 now, so that was a year ago. So grown a grey beard and stuff in 12 months. It's been a really prosperous 12 months. But I guess rallying was in a real hole, and no one was putting events on, and there was a lack of competitors and stuff like that. So I guess I've just chipped away at it, and we've had a pretty successful, probably 15 years on the northwest, where we've kept rallying, honestly alive in Tasmania. It's sort of fallen off in Hobart, where most of the population is, and the same in Launceston, and we've really honestly, tried our hardest to keep the enjoyment in the sport and try and, keep all of us as a group of mates competing together and having a good time. So that's what it's all about. So I guess the opportunity came about this year with Eddie doing the ARC, and Eddie sort of said to the ARC management team, I don't know why he's run this event out of Launceston. The roads are shit. Why don't you come to the northwest where we live? This is the pick of the roads in Tasmania. So that was the journey we headed off on, and Eddie drove that really, really hard and pushed really hard for that to happen. And, a month went by and all of a sudden the wheels were in motion, and we're organising an Australian Rally Championship round in our backyard. So that's really exciting. So we headed off out into the bush, and we tried to come up with as many cool roads as what we've rallied on over, our rallying careers. So it's pretty cool. There's stuff that we haven't rallied on for 15 years probably. So we're going to use some of that, and some of it's council or shire road and stuff like that. So it's stuff that we've probably steered away from using for the easier events and not having to deal with councils and stuff like that. But when you put an event on at this level, you want to put the best event on that you possibly can. So we've come up with a selection of roads which are going to be awesome, and it's been quite widely promoted that we're going to run a throwing competition. And Hooch is up first. Now, we're going to run a 42-kilometre power stage on the final day of the event. So this event is an endurance event, so there's no points for the Saturday, and the points all get allocated at the end of the event on the Sunday. So there's two style events in the Australian Championship. You have sprint events, which there's points on the Saturday and points on the Sunday, or you have an endurance event, which is double points on the Sunday. So this event is going to be an endurance event, and right now there's 4 drivers in the Australian Championship. Harry Bates first, Eddie is second, Lewis Bates third, and Scott Petter fourth, who are all in with a red hot shot at winning an Australian Championship. And it's pretty likely, on a 42-kilometre stage, the last stage of the championship for that year, it'll come down to the wire on that event. So that's going to be really, really cool, and that's going to be in our backyard down at Moorbanner. So, yeah, I guess that's where we're headed, and there's a lot of people around the event that just do what they do, but we really want to encourage as many new people to get involved. And like Hooch said, there's opportunities for people to come out in the bush and do road closures and sit out there, and you get your own private spectator point, and you can sit there all day and you'll see the cars a couple of times and have a fire pot and a good time, and that's part of our journey over the time. It's not always been about competing or whatever else. I remember Jamie flying around in an old Bluebird when I was a kid, and boot full of firewood and having fires on the side of the road and stuff like that. It's a really good time, and it's always spectacular. You can end up anywhere, and I guess we need people from road closures, which is the basis of the basic point of officiating to stage commanders for the event. So the call's out, I guess, to drag as many people in and get as many people out there in the bush to see what we do and to tell a story and have a good time.
Right, it's time to talk about School of Rock.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to get guts out there. Yeah. I do apologise. So now we come to the crazy scene. The crazy scene is this man is getting me to drive that car, which is a turbo 2-litre. I don't even know, 2-litre turbo. Never driven one on the road. Never driven one on the gravel. Like I said, my claim to fame, if it is claim to fame, was driving a underpowered rear-wheel drive Lancer, which my brother left basically he went to the UK and left it in Dad's driveway, Mum and Dad's driveway, and so it had been there for 6 months, and I thought, well, I might as well just steal that. So I just started driving it, and it wasn't too bad a thing. And then I went to his wedding in the UK, didn't tell him anything, and I come back and we decided to do some come and tries. Now, lately they've been calling them come and dies, but they didn't call them come and dies when I was doing them. They called come and try rallies. So Byron Murphy, a dear mate of mine, he said, we're going to do these come and try rallies. So off we went, and that, like I said, met these guys, and it's all about the memories and also the stories, but it's also about the skills, and it's also about the people you meet and the networks you make and the conversations you have and the pathways into being your best self. And in that, I've learned skills that I've been using fixing plastic that Whitey taught me, not deliberately, just by hanging around him. Templates, measuring 3 times. Dad, of course, would drill that in me as a young kid, measure 3 times, cut once. But I mean, just the things that I've picked up with Jason, and I'm going to get Craig Lotter up here, please. Craig Lotter, he's a young chap. Grab a chair and jump here in the middle, because I've got a little story about skills and about inclusion. Now, remember Luke? What's his last name? That guy that was going to be a Formula 1 engineer when he was 14 and everyone laughed at him except you and me. What's his name? Luke? Cool Hand Luke, that's what we remember. So Cool Hand Luke is a 14-year-old. He came out and boldly said he's going to be a Formula 1 technician. And some people laughed down their shirt sleeves, except this man, Jason White. So he got him into his workshop, and he was keen. He was keen, and I'll let you share some stories about him. But he was such a keen young man, and Whitey took him under his wing, and he got him to do jobs in my rally car back in the day, and I still claim fame because he went on and did great things. He was only 14 at the time. He had his plans all set out, and it was just helping along the way. He went to Europe. He did university. He went to Europe and he made his dream. I'm not sure if he made his dream of actually working as a Formula 1 team. He did he? Righto, well, I'm going to let you take over and then tell me a bit about Luke, because he's absolutely cool. And so you have a short spiel on Luke and we'll come back to my point.
Sorry? Yeah, so young Luke, he just sort of wandered into the workshop, and he'd been told that he could, if he come and seen me, I had the best chance at showing him what he wanted to do for a living. And he didn't come across as an extremely talented kid. He was extremely keen, but he was a prime example of that thirst to want to succeed and just head off in that direction. And he wasn't a natural, but he proved that he could learn. But he ended up being a really good sort of little apprentice for a while. And he would ride his bike. He was that dedicated. He would ride his bike from one end of Hobart all the way down and all the way up into Glenorchy to come to work after school every day. And that was just his thing. Like he was not going to take no for an answer. He wanted to work in Formula 1. And he did go to Europe, and he did get a bit of an apprenticeship thing happening there. And then now he's still in the working in the engine department of I think it was at Mercedes.
He went to university in Europe.
Well, yeah, skip the details, but anyway, he got where he wanted to be, and I've spoken to him since for a long time. But he it was one of those stories of a kid that wanted to. He had no real background. His dad had a bit of an idea about cars and whatnot, but he just had that. That's where I want to go, and he just he applied himself, and that's where he went. So, and it is cool to be part of those sorts of stories along the way. The small things that you help out with kids and expose them to that help them get a bit of a leg up as well, and that's what most of us guys that are probably up here at the moment would probably be the sort of guys that will, because we're so appreciative of where we managed to get to, and it's all because we've been surrounded by the right people, or exposed to the right things, or just gone, I want to be able to run amok like that guy or whatever. We've sort of you have a different level of appreciation for the time that people gave you to get there, and quite often the people that gave you that time weren't actually that conscious that they were making that much of an impact on you. But I know I've got a big list of people that inspired me and helped me get to where I got. So But anyway, that was about Luke. A bit else.
Yeah, and Luke was amazing. He went over and did university, and he was in somewhere in the UK, and with his boarding, it was a boarding thing, and he wasn't really meant to go anywhere too far outside the UK. But he was such a passionate, and in the UK, you can just get on a train and be 5 countries away. And there'd be a Formula 1 event or a WRC event, and he was always getting in trouble because he was sneaking and just getting his passport and going to these events and just trying to get back on money. He's a really cool character, and he's actually in Burnie now, lives in Burnie. And he works for Cat or Elphinstone or someone, yeah. But I always like to dine out on the fact that he made it to being a Formula 1 engineer, and he put the, you know those little... Whitey gave him a job after school one day, which was putting those little plastic P clips on my fuel lines in the LC Lancer, and like he put like 50 of them all, and like it was highly over-engineered. And I always think to myself, oh yeah, that was gold, because he went on to do big things. Now the skills, so a bit more of an add on the skills, because that's what this School of Rock. So if I go back to the School of Rock, some people out there like B Lowry's got a partner Prue, should be his wife by now, B Lowry, I don't know whether you're aware of that. Been going out for a while, but B Lowry's partner Prue, she always says that I remind her of Jack Black and that movie School of Rock, and so I've sort of combined that idea of bringing kids, and like I say, anyone under 30, to the rallying and to what we're doing. We're giving kids a corner, so could you stand up please, Simon, and also Mitchell? Lydon and Lucas, and Nige, and Mason, and Ella and Harry. When I say something, you're going to learn. And at the minute, these so we're going to decide, but we've got left-hand front corner, because when these cars come in, I've spoke to a few people how they come in is you'll each have a corner, and they know nothing at the minute about what they're going to do, and we're going to teach them what they need to do, and there's no pressure or expectation on them, and we're putting a call out. Oh, there's Joel. G'day, Joel, you've snuck in there. We're going to have no pressure or expectation on these young people, and when I say young people, Nigel's son Hunter, he couldn't be here because he's at band camp, is that right? You know what happens at band camp. Now, where is he? He's at a school production, but he would be mad keen to be here. I'm pretty sure that he missed out. So just remain standing, and I might get Joel. Can you get, and Dad, can you put you on the spot, Joel, but it's not that hard a job. Can you pull the cover off we'll call it a race car at the minute, loosely termed, won't we, Eddie? Loose. No, don't start it up. It's gone. Just grab it and roll it from the front. And so when I say skills, the kids are going to learn a lot of skills, because we've got some work to do. Don't you worry about that. Now, this car has a history. It's done Targa, it's done gravel. Jason's driven it, Eddie's driven it. Stevie. Now, Stevie, tell us. You love this car, Stevie, don't you? You just love it. And I promise. Well, I can't promise, but I'll try not to turn it into a bit of aluminium foil rolled up after a little while. Here you go. Let's hear about eBay.
Just make sure you don't turn it into this double microphone thing. No, she's eBay 5. Very fortunate to be in possession of that car. Eddie. We've had a lot of good times. Eddie had it and rallied it and wrecked it and done many good things in it. And then it was one day I just moved back from Western Australia actually, and I asked him if I could be his navigator in the Targa Hilly Gorge. And the Targa Hilly Gorge was offering up a free entry if you won your class to Targa Tasmania. And his response, which was a pretty good response, said, "No, how about you drive it?" So we raised up a navigator. I hadn't done a motorsport event for a good probably 5 or 6 years, and I was working at Savage River at the time, so I made sure I was heading through the Hilly Gorge every 4th day and got pretty used to the road. And we were successful. We won our free entry into Targa Tasmania in the eBay 5, 2015. Well, the Advocate got it wrong there once and put a good photo of me up in a yellow Tirana of old Batesy. So yeah, the eBay 5's been a fantastic car, and it's a pleasure to hand it over to Hooch as long as he looks after it, and he's doing a fantastic job to get it back up and how she was.
Right, well, we haven't done yet, but we're working on it. Now, I'll tell another little bit of an interesting story. We picked it up, it's not finished yet, it's been down to Launceston to get the mechanicals all checked over, and so that part of it's been taken care of down there at Nunny's at Launceston, and one of the guys that he's got on his books and works for him as a bit of a contractor, I don't think he's full-time, but anyway, I think he's been fettling too many flash cars, because when I picked it up, he was like, oh, geez, I don't know whether I'd even be running it, and I'm like, not only are we going to run it, we're going to full send it. I'm sorry I'm sorry to say that, Eddie and Stephen, but we'll come to grips with it. We'll have a little test session, and he's obviously at Townie. He lives in Launceston. He's half a chance to wear sandals, probably from Hobart, yeah, originally southerner. But I mean, what a pussy! That is a fine vehicle. Like, it's got everything there. Well, no, most of it's up in the church, but it's got a cage. It's got an engine that sort of likes to start. No, it doesn't. But we'll get the cold start organised. But Mozzie used to say, and you'll get sick of me harking back to Mozzie, but he was a great man and he used to have a lot of great sayings. And some of them I helped him coin and some of he coined on his own right. And one of them he used to say, and I love it, he said, if you can't win the event, then win the crowd. And we won't win the event. We're going to have a lot of fun. We might have the most belly laughs, but we're certainly not out to win anything, but we're certainly out to win the crowd. So we are going to look after our team and they're going to look really smart. Now, we've got Murray from Mavericks. Give us a wave, Murray. Everyone knows Murray because Murray is a huge community man. He's had that store since it was Vincent's, I believe. And also, it's not Lions, I get confused. Which one are you a member of? Apex. All about that. Why? Oh, Apex. Yeah, that's funny. Eddie's funny. Apexes. So he's a huge community man, and when I said that we're not out to win anything, but everyone, those people that stood up and the other people that are going to come to us, we want them to look good. So he's helping us. When I'm up here saying what they were looking for sponsors, we're not looking for sponsors to get the car mechanically sound or looking good. That's Eddie's sorting that out. I'm sorting the body out. Well, I'm trying to. It's a big contract, but we'll get there. What we're doing is we're looking for sponsorships because when we form the School of Rocks, we might want this to be ongoing. So the kids that come to the fray, well, I keep saying kids, but the young adults and kids that come to the fray, we want to build something that's ongoing, and the School of Rocks will be something in Moz's honour. And so we're going to get the kids some uniforms, and Murray's helping out so much with that. He's also got some people that he deals with helping out. We're going to reward the kids that concentrate and listen to, because we don't reward mediocrity, do we, Whitey? We do not reward mediocrity. But the kids will get little tools. They'll get something to take away from them. We've got all sorts of ancillary things. I don't want to appear to be a bleeding heart, but we've got accommodation and food and all sorts of stuff to do, because we want to do this a bit differently, and we want to do it in the spirit of Mozza, because Mozza said that life is only one lap and make it a good one. So that's where we're sort of coming from. And now, Craig, I'm going to hark back to, we'll come back to the School of Rock later, but I want to change pace once again and come back to that ideology around skills and things, because I don't have too many skills. I've picked up smatterings. I did make a really nice wrench in your garage once, Lawson. Remember that? Have you still got that? That took me 4 hours. That's a beautiful thing. Yeah, that's a beautiful thing. And so Craig has got a bit of a story. Now, Craig and I, sometimes in the heat of the moment, we've been at loggerheads, but I rate this man highly. He's highly skilled. And he's got a story to tell, which is pretty cool too. So it's all heart and soul and part of what we're trying to do to create pathways, create contacts, networks that means you can go on and be the best you can be.
Oh, goodness. I'm not very good at talking, so bear with me.
The F words to a minimum, you'll be right.
Thank you. You do like it. I'm really good at talking. I'm not very good at speeches. They're very different. Okay. So I suppose where Hooch is going with this, and to touch on the principle behind the School of Rock and very much what Whitey said there a minute ago about, having a good community behind you, and, like you mentioned, that you don't realise that you've had such an impact, or people have had such an impact on you and vice versa to get you where you need to be. He's one person that I need to thank in front of everybody back when I was going through my apprenticeship, I never had any family in motorsport or anything like that, and it was all just driven through passion. I'm a sheet metal worker by trade for the record of this, and and I get going to work and I go home and thought, I want to build race cars. That's what I want to do for a living. So, through a bunch of mutual friends, that there's quite a few of them sitting in this room today. Whitey used to help me out a fair bit and give me some advice and lend me some equipment and bits and pieces, which would have meant nothing to him. I remember he used to charge me a 6-pack of beer. You go, what do you want for that? You go, just a 6-pack. Oh, that's cheap. Righto. So, and these things all sort of went on over the years, and through all the guys that I know, and a little bit through work, but mainly through passion, I know a lot of the guys up here, the Maguire boys, Lawson, Whitey, all the OG motorsport guys. And they sort of got me further into motorsport and gave me an opportunity to do that. And then I'll move it along a bit. It sort of ushered on, and Targa Taz came around, and there was some good opportunities there. And Hooch rang me one day and he said, "Hey, look, I've got an opening. I need someone to swing some spanners." And so we went along to that, and these boys are all sitting up here talking about having good times and good memories and things like that. And there was nothing shy of that, for years that I did that with Hooch. And then a couple of years later, we ended up going on a holiday to New Zealand through passion purely to watch the WRC. And this is when Eddie and Stevie were starting to get fairly serious in motorsport, and everything was sort of shaping up to be pretty good. And then through Steve and Sims, I met Malcolm Wilson and his team principal, and they offered me a job at M Sport in the UK. And so I packed up my business of 7 years and I moved overseas. To be fair, I haven't admitted this very much, but I'm not very good at geography, and I didn't actually know where the UK was when they said, "Yep, come and work for us, we'll give you a job." No idea where I was moving to. I thought, it's out of Australia, let's go there. So we moved to the UK, and I think I was there for 9 or 10 months, best part of a season, and I think I spent 19 days inside the UK itself, which is technically where I moved to, and the rest of it, I found myself in opportunity. I was on the test team for the WRC1. I was on reconnaissance. I was on the event, and I went as their head fabricator. And otherwise, I'd be a mechanic on a right front corner. And just to sit back and think about the opportunity that grew from something so simple as being here on the northwest coast and surrounded by such good people, and people that are so passionate about rallying, and coming to an event like tonight, there's a lot of young people in the room, and hopefully a lot of you got sons and daughters that are interested in even something so small as starting as as an official or a road closure or something can lead to like I say, travelling the world and having a good eye opener and bringing some really good opportunities. So it's really good to see everyone's coming here tonight and taking the best of it all, and hopefully we can all have a bit of a laugh. And there's certainly a lot bigger things than just what's happening here in Tasmania, and and what the boys up here, excluding myself and the Maguire boys especially, have done is touring around Australia and competing highly competitively in the ARC is a really big thing, and everyone behind them should give themselves a pat on the back. I think it's good.
And that's a really good segue to come back to Eddie, because I want to hear your passion, Eddie, because I've heard it before. Now, you are competing for an Australian title, and I want to hear what you think about the talent pool that you've seen, and I'm quite happy to talk yourself up. This is a moment, not everyone gets to talk themselves up, but to be fair, you are punching on for an Australian title, and it's a year that is very competitive. There's a lot of machinery out there. You are competing with a Toyota itself, a brand, and you're doing it all on the northwest coast, so don't hold back in let us know what you're up to and how you're going about it.
Thanks, H. Yeah, we're having a crack, but it all actually comes down to a lot of these people on this stage, and that's the thing about this local community in motorsport, and that's why Rally Tasmania has been a big push for me to get the event back here. I reckon Law's probably competed in the first Rally Tas in 1980. Would that be right? I think that was its first event.
79.
But it's ran this will be the 39th year of Rally Tasmania. Now, there was a huge gap, and Rally Tasmania sort of went by the wayside. It turned into a tarmac rally, but it started as a gravel rally, turned into a tarmac rally, which was Australia's most successful proper rally, tarmac rally. It hosted the ARC for a long time, and it went by the wayside. And I'll get back to where Hooch sort of started me from, but this community is such a motorsport / rally orientated community, and it's all thanks to some of these people on this stage. And I guess coming back to our own success is because of this community. And that's what's been the driving force behind getting Rally Tasmania back, is to bring it back to the motorsport community, and the interest that we're getting at the moment from the whole country and competitors that are coming to Rally Tasmania, and the local statewide competitors that are running too, is actually looking really exciting and looking like being the most supported ARC round in Australia. So probably wasn't enough about myself, Hooch, but just a little bit about the eBay 5 actually before I hand it back. So this car started out life, I'd had a few reds back when I used to drink red wine, and got on eBay one night and went buy it now. I think it was only $10,000, and woke up the next morning, and Whitey's been in this situation a lot. I think he bans himself now from eBay after a bottle of red, but bought this car, and then when it turned up, I thought, well, what am I going to do with this? I don't have a licence, because some of Sergeant Conroy's mates had taken it off me for a little bit there. But what am I going to do with this car? So I ran it over. Whitey was working out of Ulverston at the time, and I think we had 3 weeks until a rally. And I said, this thing will be right, won't it, Whitey? And it was a Jap import. And it had a cage in it, and nothing was compliant. We couldn't get the car logbooked or get it ready for the rally at all. So in a matter of, I think it was 2 weeks, we cut the cage out of it, did some all-nighters, built a new cage, only managed to get primer on the cage. We didn't actually get to paint it properly. And if you go and have a close look, it's still only got primer on the cage. And Whitey drove it, and I navigated for him, and it's some of the greatest memories I've had in rallying, I reckon. That was such a good event. And we finished second outright against a hard-charging Graham... what's his name? Marcus Walkham. At the time, which was a pretty good achievement. He'd actually won the four-drive Australian Rally Championship the year after, so he was going pretty well. So it was good fun. So there's another great memory of that car, and that's hopefully that car's going to make more good memories.
And it's fair to point out that Eddie's as good at navigating as I am.
Oh, okay. So the worst navigator in Australian history and the second worst navigator in Australian history. Look, I wasn't going to go there, but I must explain that. So when you are new to gravel rallying, it's not a line of people that are putting their hand up to sit next to someone that they don't know how they can drive or how they go about things. That's quite you've got to be a bit of a nut job. Well, here's one of those nut jobs right there. Known as a driver, but also keen to help out. So he oh, look out, dog's not happy. Dog's not happy. That's not a dog. The barking horse is not happy. And so, it was really good. And I mean, having and this is going to be a good segue, because having a navigator that can drive is worth its weight in gold. It's not so good when you go to so I done a couple of club rallies with a few different people, and then we did the ARC in a state level thing. So the ARC came to Hobart, and Whitey was my navigator, and we come from Tulips. Now, Tulips is in 10 Ks, you might only have 17 or 18 calls. They just put little maps, little drawings down called tulips, and you just call the bad bits. So you might be driving along, and Whitey will call a few bad bits, and then he'll have nothing for 5Ks, and he's got a really cool saying, 5Ks to play. So 5Ks to play, pretty much drive as you see it, and he tries to work out when the next triple caution or something really bad, like a bridge we don't want to go over, or beat upside down. So that's pretty cruisy, and you drive on what you can see. Now, when you go to a pace-noted event, which is what the ARC will be, your navigator has every corner marked, and I will show. There's a book over the back that will show you that, and it gets hectic. And you go from driving on what you can see and backing your judgment, and sometimes for the worst part, your bravery and how big your testes are. To having every corner noted. Now, if you hold your hands apart, yep. So when you first start in a rally, mainly if you haven't been driving with each other, that's how far apart you are. You are navigator, driver. Now, if you just overlap a little bit, just overlap your hands a little bit. Yep, look, not too much. So, this is the danger zone. You are driving on what you can see, but your navigator has started to make some sort of sense. This normally happens a little bit before lunch. Now, normally you wouldn't go any further with certain navigators. But we were having a good time, although we did have that thing where I outsmarted myself and the fuel. Remember, I got rid of all the breathers and the fuel tank just vacuumed, and we fixed that on the fly. But after lunch, he actually started making a lot of sense. And so just now, overlap your hands. So 2 stages after lunch, this is me and Whitey. We are one being. And he is calling notes, and I am believing him 100%, and I am not driving on what I can see. I'm driving probably 9/10, which is nowhere where I should be driving, and we can explain that later on, the 9/10 and the 10/10 and all the 7/10. We won't bore you with that up here. But so... About halfway through and it's my fault, I'll take it on the chin. I was driving on what he was telling me, and then I could tell we were in trouble when he started. I mean, his voice went up 2 octaves, and he went, left free, and it was very late. I'm in top gear, and which is not very quick in my little 1700cc Lancer, which is no turbos, no whatever. But we were operating. I'm in top gear, and he's just let out a squeal. Left free. Well, by the time I went to go back a gear and get on the brakes, we've gone through actually, I got on the picks, and I thought, well, I'm not going through that culvert all the way on the front, so I just went back a gear and got upper. We've gone through like 2 foot of culvert. There's all these logs on the side of the road that we just jumped over. To this day, I do not know how we backed down over there. And he was like, oh, I'm sorry. And I'm thinking, I didn't say it, but I thought, oh, well, it was my fault. I'm listening to you. And off we went. I think we had 1 flat tyre or 2 flat tyres. But those 2 stages, when we were one being and we were driving, and you drivers will know through Targa and rallying and Lorse, that is memories you will take to the grave. It is absolutely fantastic. But I'm sorry, that was a bit of a segue. I'm coming back to you are going to battle on the November, so you have to wear this. So Eddie is going to war with the best of the best in Australia, and so even if you only want to come out and watch and wish him good luck, but if you want to be part of the School of Rocks and you want to help us do something a little bit different, a little bit special in our own right, but also in the honour of, like I said, Moza, who always paid stuff forward. There's opportunity to get on board as a event partner. There's opportunity to get on board as get your hands dirty. I've been speaking to a young lad over here that wants to get into drifting, but we won't judge him, will we? We won't judge him.
Judge him?
What's that? It's a judge sport, yeah. But he's showing a little bit of interest. It'd be absolutely fantastic if you wanted to come and join us. If you have, from what you've heard here tonight, if you have not, if you've got someone that you know that might be a good fit, or you want to have even more information, come and see us. We're going to be here for a little bit longer, because there's a $50 voucher that if you're the quickest on that stage, and I think Eli thinks he's going to be the gun. Are you about ready to go again, are you, Eli? Oh, OK, I'm winding up now, Tigers. So there's a $50 voucher the Fourth Pub has put up. And that's one thing. I've just put my hand in my pocket and I've got another funny story, because we don't do this, and I will reiterate, we do not do this for the accolades, and we certainly don't do it from the trophies. See this here? That's what, $2.50 worth of medallion. Now, the cams, the Confederation... Actually, I'm going to finish up with you. Hang on, what am I doing? You haven't said a bloody word here, Chriso. So I'm going to hand it over to Chriso in a minute, but this is what you get from the Confederation of Australian Motorsport when you win a state title. Have a look at that.
Sheep station.
It is a Tasmanian state title. I can't even read it because they...
Give us a look.
I reckon it was when
Yeah, you read it. And it's got the wrong navigator's name on it. It's got Baldrick's missus on it. That's embarrassing. She wasn't my navigator. It's P3, I think. P3 state champion. That's rubbish. That is not why we do this. It's all the reasons that you heard before. It's the stories, it's the skills, it's the lifelong enjoyment. And one of the reasons why this man is on stage, not only has he driven up from Hobart, he's an ex-Queenslander. Again, we won't judge him. You're probably slightly above drifters, eh? And so he is the crew chief. Because when I go to war, traditionally, when I go to war, I got to do everything. Like this here tonight, well, actually, this was an idea, and I put it together with Mum and Dad. So thank you, Mum and Dad. Thank you, Mum and Dad. And, of course, Ed and Steve have bought out the really flash car. And I also thank the Fourth Pub because they have come on as a sponsor, so that's pretty cool. We're very much appreciative of this, and we will have another one of these, and I laugh about this, Eddie. 2 weeks before the event, the car's going to be finished. That makes me laugh. Doesn't that make you giggle? Because that just doesn't happen. But 2 weeks before the event, we're going to have another one of these, and it's going to be pretty much the same, except, fingers crossed, that car will be the pride of place, and it'll be not the Martin you see here. Now, the reason why I call it a Martin, you got that story under your belt?
Martin Riggs.
Yeah, can you deal with that? Because that's a Mozzerism. You want to go there?
Oh, if you like, yeah.
It's a bit vague and abstract.
Yeah, Moz was always always making up all sorts of weird stuff. Well, we used to have a competition to see who could make up the most weird stuff, and it was usually a word association sort of thing. So there was a guy called Martin Riggs that he knew, and oh, I didn't know that bit. It was just anyway. So it was because it was your vehicle was your rig, and so it became your Martin Riggs, so it became your Martin. So we taken your Martin or my Martin, and most of the time we'd have a conversation in a crowd, and no one would have any clue what the hell we were talking about because it was all just code.
So your car is your rig, and your rig is your Martin Riggs, and that's how Mozzie used to roll. You were talking a language that you would not even know. Now back to this man. Like I said, when you do rallying back in the day, you normally do everything. You turn up to the event, you're basically fried because you've had to work on your car, you've had to sort of organise some service crew who are basically disinterested, but all they want to do is drink piss and light fires and blow shit up with acetylene. And you get to the event and you've got to train your navigator, and you've got to organise everything, you've got to organise your fuel, and you've got to organise your tyres, you've got to organise your pit crew, you've got to organise everything. But now we've got a Chriso. Everyone needs a Chriso. Chriso is going to basically do that, and I'm basically just going to hang on to the wheel. I'm just there to drive. Oh, and talk about Mel. You're
Right, okay. So I think Hooch has brought me on board as a coordinator to wrangle...
Crew chief.
Yeah, I know, but basically the guys are going to look after their own corners, front and back. Front and back, and I'm going to keep him under check for you guys so it doesn't annoy our...
If you think that is your only job, I have got a list for you, my man.
The quick bit of history, it's 20 years ago, pretty much 2 months ago, 20 years since I met most of these guys. The first time I landed in Tasmania for service crew for Targa Tas, and we spent the first night in the rally shed, White Hot, down at Don, and pretty much every guy on the stage I've met through rallies, competed with them, had many, many laughs, went on to then navigate in tarmac rally. Never did gravel because it's really dirty and grubby, but one of my best gravel, well, not gravel, but tarmac events that we did was Rally Tas. And I remember seeing Jamie and his brother competing, and these guys pulled in at a lunch break, and I don't know if it was diffs or axles, but these guys were in mud, covered in... This is the driver and the navigator repairing their own car. You know, the other guys were stuck out at other service areas. They got it going out the door. Sorry? That was...
I don't remember.
Yeah. Down at Savage River. And it was incredible to see, and I just thought, you know, the level of commitment to these guys and their mates.
It doesn't happen nowadays, though. The driver gets out and goes to the
I know. Now,
talking about
now the guys walk out to their transporter into the air-conditioned lounge, put on a video, have a drink, and wait for the service crew, which is the rest of their mates, to fix the mistakes. And I reckon last weekend there was a fair few, because I reckon Stevie was a bit light on parts. But anyway, so what Hooch is doing here is incredible, honouring Moz, but giving a heap of guys and girls and kids, adults, the opportunity to be part of it. Home state rally is a huge thing. Like I'm now an actual Tasmanian, got my licence and everything, but to be part of this is incredible. Stevie and Eddie, really great mates. They've been able to really put forward and promote the sport along with the other guys, but they're really pushing to make this a really cool ARC event and backing Hooch to the hilt with the School of Rocks.
The horse has got a bit... horse is blown up.
Whoever had that palmy, it's gone. So also what we've done is we've actually found somebody to sit in the car and listen to, well, for Hooch to listen to and maybe learn a few things. So a really good friend of ours, Melinda Bergman, has put her hand up. She's an accomplished navigator and driver, driven turbo cars most of her life, competed at pretty much every level of motorsport in Australia. So yeah, I think she's very excited. It's a shame she couldn't be down here, but she's going to try and get down for the next one, I think, maybe. And yeah, I'm just looking forward to meeting all our crew, our helpers. If anybody needs anything and needs to ask questions, I'm always around. And it's just going to be a great fun event and make some of those stories and memories as part of the team of School of Rocks.
Cool bananas.
Yeah.
And my goal is, one, to keep the car fairly straight, let's be serious, fairly straight, but also that Mel is talking to me at the end of the event. It'd be nice if we're still on speaking terms, to be honest. But just to pay a little bit more to Mel's skills, I thought when she, and this was poor from me, I thought when she was in Target she was a navigator. But she's done as much driving as navigating, and she's done as much driving in these sorts of cars as anyone. And when I read a little spiel that she sent me, because I want to do a little Facebook post, I just read it and went, what the hell am I doing driving? Why aren't I navigating this puppy? And that's something that we want to bring along to this too. It's not this. It's a bit of a sausage fest up on here, but unfortunately Mel would be up here if she didn't live in Queensland, and that's what we're trying to do as well. It's not a boys-only, men-exclusive club. It has been traditionally, but we're not interested in that, and that's part of School of Rocks as well. That's why I've had the pressure on my daughters to get involved, but anyone that might know of someone that wants to get involved, it's about a connect, and I'll wind this up because it's been going a while now. It's about getting, like the government have put out this thing where they're going to ban kids of a certain age being on Facebook. Well, I'm afraid that's like pissing on a bonfire. The floods have opened and it's a full-blown mess out there at the minute. We want to create things where kids want to gravitate and come and have fun. This is it. I don't profess that the first time round we'll get it right. These things, I really appreciate you turning up. It's fantastic. But when we have the second one and the third one and the fourth one, which will be a little bit different, we might get a little bit looser, a little bit more out of control, and they'll be really entertaining, and we hope to fill this place. We might fill somewhere in Burnie, we might fill somewhere in Launceston, but this isn't just a one-off, and with support like I said, Murray, and also Hadley Deegan. There's a thing I sent Hadley Deegan, it'll be a month ago now, an eBay. I've sort of got this dream, a bit of an idea. I haven't really got any idea what it is, and here's some sort of an idea, and I made up a media release and I sent it to him, and he said, I'm on board, and so he's on board. He doesn't even know how yet. We're probably going to make that up as we go.
Might be a good time to tell everybody who all the sponsors are.
Well, we don't have all the sponsors, but we've got Soda LED Automotive, a very dear friend of Moz's, and also a supporter of the Hot Bite, which I do in Moz's sort of spirit. On each, we're having a bit of rest because it's winter time and there's not much fishing. We've got, of course, Murray from Mavericks. We've got the Fourth Pub. Who else have we got? Soda, Fourth Pub, Mavericks. What's that? Oh, L&C, of course. L&C spray painters. So that's just, and it's not just cash. Just they're going to sandblast. They've got the big sandblaster unit over there at East Devonport. I've dropped 8 rims off. They're going to blast them in between jobs. It's a huge thing that they're doing. It's going to save a lot of time on my fingers because sand and bloody rims is hard on the fingers and the skin. And so they're going to just wash them over with a bit of sandblaster, and then I can prime them and make them white, and they'll look $1 million. And then I can spend 2 days destroying them. Ed. So thank you very much. Have I left anything unsaid? I think we're all pretty much covered off. We don't want anyone to walk away to think that they're not open to a conversation on being included. You have a bit of a walk around eBay 5, jump in it, have a play on it, jump in and get some photos of the other one, because we'd love to get some photos where you can hashtag some supporters.
Spectator guides out, tickets and blah, blah, blah.
And the spectator sign link. Yep.
Yeah, so I think today on ARC, Hooch will send out a link to everybody on their socials. The ARC Spectator Guide was released today, so it's got all the maps and where the stages are going. There's a link to sign up. Most of the spectator spots will require ticketing. It's free, but will require ticketing if you're not at a road closure and you just want to come and support the event. It is the Alpha Electrics and Water Rally Village at Aldina and the PWS special stage. So it's going to be an amazing thing to see, 42 Ks. Crazy.
Cool thing. So I'm going to actually leave the last word to the quietly spoken and not normally very vocal, Stephen Maguire. Ladies and gentlemen, round of applause for Steve Maguire. Thank you, Stephen. It's an honour you've been in attendance.
Thank you very much, Kelly. I'm a better driver than what I am a public speaker.
You're talking pretty good.
Right, okay.
A bit of chat to the peanut gallery.
Yeah, a bit of chirp from the other side of the room. A bit of team orders over there, probably. No, I'd just like to... it's great to see some younger people in the room, boys and girls. You're making me feel pretty old now, but it's about when I sort of got into motorsport. I was fortunate enough to get into motorsport at an early age, at probably 12, 13, 14, with my brother Eddie. Our dad got us into motorsport. With some grassroots motorsport, doing carnacrosses and hill climbs and different things at Simmons Plains. So very fortunate for that. It's a fantastic sport, and I was that annoying brother, I suppose, that younger brother of Eddie's that hung around and annoyed them all. But yeah, it's a good thing to be sitting on the stage. There's a lot of these guys that I looked up to in motorsport, particularly in Jamie Vandenberg and Jason White. I was only a young teenager dreaming of racing cars like they were at the time, and here we are doing it at a national level. So dream big and never give up. Have a crack. We'll see you at the next one.
Thank you. So we'll finish up there, and I'd just like to say stick around. We're going to turn the lights on, have a look at the car. We'll get the bright lights up, have a look at this wreck of the Esperance, but it will be on the improve next time you see it. Next time the covers come off that, hopefully she'll be everywhere neat as a pin as the old rig there. So round of applause to you all for coming. Thank you very much. And for the guys up here, thank you. And so stick around. We'll move the fire pots into the middle, and also the bar, of course, is still open, and we've still got to get a winner from the rally game. So thank you very much.